welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're yet again talking about the predicted shortages. Yes, shortages for 2024. Unfortunately, things are not getting easier and there are predictions for even worse 2024. According to experts, we're about to lose 34 million tons of export in 2024, and this could affect up to 150 million people worldwide. From end of 2022, there were 135 million people that were reported to have the food insecurity across 53 countries. Well, guess what? This year, guys, it increased to 345 million in 79 countries. So you can see the situation's only getting worse. Just to point out, guys, the food shortages are already happening. Just because we live in UK or you live in EU somewhere, because you not see this on your shelves, doesn't mean they're not there. There are millions and millions of people already suffering. And as I said just once more time, just because you don't see this on the shelf doesn't mean it's happening. Secondly, because we are more of an established country, guys, we have a little bit more of the infrastructure and we're still able to produce some foods and import some foods here. However, how shortage is going to affect the countries like ourselves is by the increased prices. As we've been seeing this, guys, for the past year or so, we'll have price hikes on many products that generally been actually in short supply in the third world countries. Here, we had them on our shelves, but the prices were pretty much, in many cases, doubling. So the first one, guys, of course, is rice. And I'm sure you're fully aware of the current situation that's been going on for the past, about a year and a half, okay? The reason it's been affected, obviously, was initial conflict, guys. Then the China-Pakistan had a really bad weather that affected, obviously, the rice crops. Now we have the El Nino that's also affecting the weather. And of course, the fact is that they now restricted the supply of non-basmati rice into, outside the country. So all of this will create and have been creating the rice shortages. Again, guys, of course, yes, we're not in the UK particularly seeing a kind of a massive shortage of rice, yet we have gone through the stage where we weren't able to get our basic cheap rice, as a prepper rice I call it, in the supermarkets because they were just not available. And the prices have gone up of the dairy rices, as you've been commenting. So this is kind of for us what the effects of the rice shortages. And apparently this is only to get any worse. So I'm not saying we're not going to have rice on our shelves, guys. There will be other people be affected far worse than we are, but the chances are the rice prices are going to be going up again next year. So next one is actually pasta, and we're not talking about the as such of the flour itself. We're actually talking about pasta. There are a few areas in Italy that actually experienced the rice shortages and then a double-fold increase in prices due to the ingredients being scarce. This is really odd, right? That Italy is one of the biggest producers. However, yes, apparently price of ingredients has increased, and of course that's been wheat, and for some reason they had the shortages, but when the prices appeared, when the pastas appeared, it's gone pretty much doubled in price, and this is only apparently yet to get worse. I know, guys, I totally know they've been predicting the shortages of the wheat and flour and the pasta for absolutely ages. However, as I always keep telling you guys, it seems to be, if you follow the channel, you know, everything just takes time to dribble through. Whatever is happening in the economy in the world, things just take a while. It's like whatever other thing I was talking about, guys, it just took a year for the fire to materialize. So the point is that they're predicting this for next year, but that means we still have time to prep. So if you don't have any pasta, go and get some. Next thing, guys, is a cocoa and every other product that has cocoa inside it. Apparently, now today, the cocoa is actually reached its 12-year highest prices. According to climate change again and the El Nino, they've been having an issue in West Africa of producing enough cocoa. Unfortunately, they supply a 75% of the world cocoa. So again, they're predicting a shortages of cocoa for next year, and again, not necessarily there's going to be the directly a cocoa powder, or potentially even not in UK. However, you can bet your bottom dollar, guys, that the prices of all that things like a chocolate and everything else will be going up in price, especially if they can't get cocoa to ourselves or to the manufacturers. So be mindful of that. If you do use cocoa in a baking, or if you use a chocolate, just maybe a good idea just to stock up on some bits, okay? So next thing, guys, we're talking about salmon, and I kind of really thought that tuna will take its place, but not. We're talking about salmon, and we are talking about the reason salmon is going to be in short supply is for the reasons of apparently due to the nature, due to overfishing, unfortunately, and due to diseases and parasites. Yes, it sounds absolutely disgusting. Believe this or not, right? I've seen an article that apparently Marks and Spencer's were actually selling a farmed salmon, but also was full of parasites. So it is not something I would like to consume. Anyway, the point is being, guys, that yes, looks like a salmon is going to be on the list for next year. If you are a prepper, you might have some tins of salmon in your prepper pantry. If not, maybe time to get some if you feel you want to have it. I have a tuna fetish. I have a lot of tuna, but at the same time I have bought myself but a bit of salmon tins anyway, just purely other variety. But the point is, this is something that's going to be happening, and the chances are the price is going to go through the roof anyway. To be fair, at the moment, a salmon is super expensive. If we're talking about buying a fresh salmon, 2 little salmon fillets are costing from about like £8, well, £7.80 to £8.40 in Tesco's. It is a lot of money for not a lot. I know the salmon tastes great, but it is very expensive. But something tells me that if those prices are high already now, again, chances are that this price is not going to be doubling, but we're going to be paying 10 plus for the pack of 2 little salmon steaks. So there we are, okay? Next thing is flour, okay? I maybe should have mentioned it before the pasta anyway, but yes, they're still predicting shortages of flour. Again, we're not as such seeing shortages here in UK. We have seen the increase of the flour, and at the same time, guys, you've been commenting, there's many places online currently that are local UK flour mills, flour mills, that you can buy flour from there. However, again, because of the weather, they are still anticipating the shortages of flour. Again, might not hit the UK, but the point is there, we're still anticipated of not having enough flour to go around for all of the countries. So there you have it. Next thing, guys, it's still there. It's aluminium shortage. Oh my goodness. They've been going on about it for the past couple of years. We're still experiencing the aluminium shortages, and that's why, okay, we have issues with the foil. If you follow my channel, right, first of all, the foil has gone up in price like a lot, okay, and secondly, the quality of the foil is really deteriorated, okay. There's at some point I actually demonstrated. I bought the foil from, I think it was Lidl or Tesco's or Asda actually, and I could just rip it with my fingers. It was like a gold leaf. It was that badly thin, okay. And as well, if you're a prepper, if you buy tins, you probably have noticed, guys, that the tins became thinner. At some point, if you compare like a really old tin you might have had for a good few years, pick it up and pick up a current tin and actually do a finger press, and you'll actually find that the current tins became much thinner. Unfortunately, that kind of indicates somewhat that might reduce the longevity of our tins. However, this issue is there, and this is what it is. So next thing is kind of comes side by side with that, but it's actually pet food. In fact, we're really talking about the cat food and the dog food. Again, I've been monitoring because we have 2 cats, I've been monitoring the cat food for the past few years, and the whole thing that the variety of the cat food has really gone down drastically. I know we cover this on many videos in terms of actually a lot of things as a consumer for us are disappearing off the shelves. It's like we're being limited to the options that are there. But yes, the food is specifically a very obvious choice to me because I've been keeping an eye on it. Okay, and yes, the cat and dog food is meant to be, again, in a short supply. Firstly, is due to the availability of tins or aluminium, and secondly, it's actually due to raw materials, because of apparently the food that goes in there, it's actually more now prioritized to go into a human consumption rather than in a pet or dog food. It's slightly questionable from the point is not that I'm thinking, what sort of lovely cat and dog food is there that, the meats that go from there can now go into the human consumption. It's actually more the other way around, knowing what sort of crap goes into the cat and dog food, thinking what kind of human consumption food does that go into? That's really the puzzling thing. But nonetheless, guys, yes, the pet food, cat and dog food is meant to be still in a short supply. Again, whether we see here literally shortages of it, or we're just going to see a diminishing options on the shelves, probably more likely. So again, if you have some furry friends, if you're not a prepper or you haven't maybe considered stocking up some tins for your pets, then please do. So there we are, guys. So far, this is what the experts predicted to be in the short supply next year, or of course in our case is potentially just the high price increases. And again, just the one more point, guys, like I did this earlier in the video, guys, just because they're saying there's a shortages, because you haven't seen shortages on our shelves, doesn't mean physically you're going to have gaps in our shelves. All that potentially will mean that we're going to be paying a higher price like we have been doing for ages on many other things. So again, if you consider of prepping, considering of starting prepping, just if you don't have any of those items and you want to safeguard yourself, again, not so much from the shortages, but maybe from a further price increases, then consider popping into the shop, pick up a couple of bits just to put in the back of your cupboard, so at least you know you're covered if prices go up. So anyway, all right guys, that's the end of the video. Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.